Hey, it's Caryn. It's Coach Business Time. I want to talk to you about being lazy, not because I think you are or because I think I am, but because I think we mislabel ourselves that way. And I don't think we're being fair. So I don't know if this is a pep talk for you or for me, but we're here. We're in this together. I'm glad you're here. So here's what I notice. When I want you to notice, we're going to talk about process today, not content. So don't think about what the things are. I want you to think about your energy, your responses. Yeah. Okay. So what I notice is there are times where I think I should be doing something. I might even want to do that thing. I might think doing that thing is smart, good strategy. I might think I'm well suited to the thing. Lots of thoughts about it, right? Seems like practical oftentimes. And what I'll notice is I have no energy for it. And I'm like, but it's a good idea, right? So I'm negotiating now. So it's like, I should do this, seems practical. Then I get this like no energy place. And then I start to negotiate with myself about it. And generally, what happens is that's the fork in the road. One option is you push through, you do the damn thing, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you do all those all those sayings that we have about working hard and doing everything all on your own, whatever. Or you don't do it for any number of reasons. But this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes a new piece of data wings its way in and changes everything. Changes or it just changes the circumstances enough where you're like, well, didn't need to do that. That doesn't even make sense anymore. All that practical stuff I could have, should have, would have done. And all of a sudden, you're not lazy anymore and your energy comes back. Is it just me or is this happening for all of us? I'm pretty sure it's happening for all of us in some way or another. And I want you to watch for it. I want you to be aware that sometimes what you're labeling as lazy is misalignment. Sometimes what we think we should do is just a should, but it isn't what needs or wants to happen. And that's okay. We can add and that's okay to the end of every single sentence I say today. But I really want you to look at historically when things haven't quote unquote worked out and yet good stuff came in. Was it a time like this? Was it a time where you're like, well, I was really going to do that. I was really going to push through and make it happen. But then I got that email and it changed everything. Glad I didn't put all that effort in, right? I think if you're anything like me, you have story after story after story about this. And I have clients who will get there too. We'll get into this place of like the shoulds. And for me, it's that really practical voice. It's kind of like my own mom voice in my head. I'm like, well, we should really take care of business. You're someone who does what she says she's going to do. Whenever I sound like that to myself, I'm like, well, let's just see. And maybe if it was for me, I'd have the energy to go for it. And when I am brave enough, because I think that is what it takes, I think it takes courage to stop just doing and going and pushing and completing. That's what we're all good at, right? We've been trained to do that forever. I know how to complete things. I don't need to prove that to myself anymore. But if I don't do that, that means I have to have the courage to stand in the not doing, in the patience, in the potential waiting that it might take for things to shift enough for the world to make sense to me again and for the energy to come back. Because I think what wants to happen will, and what will happen will have the energy to happen. It won't be a fight. I'm not so sure that the world we want to keep creating comes from the fight. You know what I mean? There are things worth fighting for. Do not get me wrong. But I'm not so sure that when we're doing work that is at choice and when we are creating our own worlds in our own businesses and we are making the rules and we are writing the permission slips, I'm not so sure that the fight is what helps us there or helps other people. I don't know for you. I think you get to try that on and decide for yourself. But I know for me that anytime I start to think like, why am I being lazy? Why isn't this getting done? What's going on here? Anytime I start to really wonder about that stuff, usually there's something that's not quite right, and I might not be able to see it yet. So my invitation for you today is this. The next time you feel that resistance that isn't just about like, oh, I'd rather eat chips or whatever the like quick dopamine hit thing is. And then you're like, okay, now I'll go do it. It's more than that, it's bigger than that. Whenever you come up to that next and you remember this, I want you to ask yourself, what would it take for me to be with this and trust that it's not the time or that maybe I don't have all the information? What do I need to give it some patience and give it some waiting and some seeing? And then what happens after that? And I don't think you have to wait forever and, not even do the thing. I think if you can give it a day, a day might be wild. If you can give it 2 hours, if you're someone who's just used to pushing and going and moving that needle and doing all the things, 2 hours might seem like a lifetime. But what if you did other things and you're like, I'm going to consciously let that sit, and that's okay. And I'm going to set the timer on my phone for 2 hours, and I can pick it back up then if it feels like it's more of the right time or if it just has to get done. But I want you to play with this because I think one of the greatest resources that we have is our energy, and how we use it matters. And the way that it feels, our felt experience of how we live our lives is life, right? This is what it feels like to be a human. This is what I will remember about my working time. And I think we have a great chance to impact that. And I just wonder what might happen if you played around with it a little bit. All right. So there's that. If you are like, what the F are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense to me. But yet you still have that feeling like, but I feel like she's onto something. That means you need to reach out to me. We should chat. We should set up a coffee and clarity call. These are these like 25-minute calls. You and I, we hop on the Zoom. We just check in and we see like what's going on. What needs a little zhuzh? What needs a few powerful questions so you can sort some things out. Those are my gift to anyone here. If you want a coffee and clarity call, we can get you one of those. The link to book one is actually in the show notes right now. As long as they're available, you can click that link and find one. And if for some reason I think, you know what, I think we should probably work together, or you might be like really ripe for coaching, I'll let you know. But it's not a sales call. That'll be for you to choose later. All right. That's the alarm going off. It's bedtime here. So I'm going to head into the house and make sure my kid brushes her teeth. And I'm just going to hope that if now is the time for some clarity and some coffee, that you and I are going to be together soon on Zoom. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for playing around in possibility of what life could be like if we question our actions and question our ingrained ways of operating. All right. Have a great day. Thanks for being here, and share this with a friend if you've got someone who like keeps calling themselves lazy, because I'm not so sure that's what it is. What if lazy doesn't exist? We're going to find out. All right. Adios.